Okay, so I'm not sure if you've seen it circulating around or whatnot. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But a Mount Rushmore of anime has been circulating around, doing its rounds around the web. And a lot of people have been talking about it. Now, I added an extra addendum to it because I felt like to just say the anime Mount Rushmore is a little ridiculous considering it was just shonen anime on the Mount Rushmore. So I said this would be the shonen anime Mount Rushmore, which definitely makes a lot more sense because, you know, anime is very, very broad. There's so many different series that fall into it. To just put shonen would be unfair to the rest of the series in the genre or in the medium as a whole. So on the Mount Rushmore that they had was Goku, Naruto, Ichigo, Luffy. Basically, Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. And I'm not gonna lie, it feels like that is genuinely the correct one to put for the West, because there's something else that we need to address, right? Because just because we had certain series majorly popular here in the West, in the US, or in Canada, or anything like that, doesn't necessarily mean that all over the world, these same series had that same type of movement, that same type of impact in, you know, different places. Like, for example, the Mount Rushmore of anime, of shonen anime in Mexico might not have one of those. It might actually include something like Saint Seiya, or it might just have, you know, Dragon Ball, Saint Seiya, something along the lines of that. So definitely I wanted to address this one. I wanted to kind of take a look at the series that are out there that for the most part would be the legendary ones that you would throw the argument there for the West, and just go through what would be potentially the Mount Rushmore if it weren't Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, and Dragon Ball Z.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
For starters on the list, and by the way, new school anime, we're not gonna go there because they're new. Like, they wouldn't be like Mount Rushmore is supposed to be like, you know, the classics that inspired and things like that. So no Black Clover, no My Hero, no Boruto, no Demon Slayer, none of that stuff, no Jujutsu Kaisen. They're all newbies. They're all, like, you know, proving their worth right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, Demon Slayer has this crazy impact and all that stuff, but still, it's fairly new. All of these series just came out within the last few years. Mount Rushmore is supposed to be like the classics, the inspirational ones. So that's why they won't be, you know, addressed in this one. If there were a Mount Rushmore of newbies, then they'd definitely be in the conversation. In fact, Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen off the top of my head would be staples because of the amount of success they've had and just in general impact. Likewise, I'd throw personally Black Clover, but I don't know how people would feel about that. Now, with that being said, let's start off. For starters, a major classic that would be up for discussion for Mount Rushmore would be Hajime no Ippo. Hajime no Ippo, the boxing classic. I definitely would throw the argument Hajime no Ippo could be in there. The problem with that one, especially just in the West in particular, is that Hajime no Ippo never had the same impact that it had in Japan and has in Japan over here in the West. I'm not saying that it's popular, so when I say that throughout this video, don't mistake it that I'm saying it's not popular. Like, plenty of people love Hajime no Ippo over here, but for crying out loud, the manga never even got localized over here. So that's a big kind of eye-opening thing of like, oh, okay, it never reached that level of mainstream success. Hajime no Ippo, one of my favorite sports, probably my favorite sports anime. Like, I just recently went through the entirety of the anime and I absolutely loved it. So I would definitely say that it would be a contender, and in terms of like overall, not just in the West, Hajime no Ippo has to be in some type of Mount Rushmore because it is phenomenal. But just speaking in the West, Hajime no Ippo probably wouldn't be there because, again, it didn't reach that mainstream level of success, even though I love the living crap out of it, man. That Dempsey Roru! Okay, so Soul Eater, that's another one that was very, very big. In fact, the creators of Soul Eater are actually doing Fire Force right now. Again, I would say same argument as the Hajime no Ippo one. That was pretty freaking popular, and more so I'd argue popular in the West than Hajime no Ippo, but I wouldn't say Soul Eater had the same impact as like a lot of the other big significant ones. Again, we're comparing it to what we have on the current Mount Rushmore of anime: Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. Those series, you know, they've had some, but again, I wouldn't say it's Mount Rushmore worthy. That's just me. Nothing to the series. We're talking about popularity here. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, fam. It's an epic one. It's a great one, but it's more so had its resurgence within the last, I want to say, 8 to 9 years. Like, when did they do that? I want to say the David production anime started coming out in 2012, so it's not like JoJo, you know what I'm saying, had its moment early on. And in fact, the manga only just started coming out, I want to say, within the last 5 to 6 years. Like, the full-on version here in the West, just fairly recent because of the David production anime. Again, JoJo, that's up there for me. Like, in my top 20 anime or shonen, probably even anime, just in general, to be honest, JoJo's will probably be there. Like, there's so many great ones, especially, of course, part 2, Joseph. But in terms of, again, in the West, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, in comparison to the bar that we have popularity-wise, it probably wouldn't go there either. Gintama, similar case, huge. And in Japan, there's the argument that probably in Japan, Gintama would definitely be on the Mount Rushmore because of its impact, the hilarious nature of it, the parodies, all of that jazz. Like, it kept on going. Like, honestly, that's one of my favorite comedy out there. But again, didn't really have that impact. Over here, they tried to license it a couple of different times, a couple of different ways. It never really panned out. Like, I want to say Sentai Filmworks initially had the anime, and then it didn't sell well. And then I want to say Crunchyroll tried to bring it over here with a dub, and that didn't do well either. So yeah, Gintama never really popped over here, but my god, I love it. And in Japan, I would throw the argument it might be up there. I don't know. Now here's one, and I'm gonna just put them side by side because they kind of had the same impact, that I would throw the argument that maybe they should be up there. Maybe one of them or both of them should be up there. Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. The phenomenon that is Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon is unmatched. Probably more so Pokemon than Yu-Gi-Oh, just because people really loved the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. The anime was big too, but the card game was a lot bigger than the actual anime itself. Pokemon, people, I'll never forget the impact, and I've said this many times in many different videos, of that first movie, even that second movie, but especially that first movie, of people lining up around the block, taking hours upon hours to get into the theater to actually see that film. Pokemon was a phenomenon that we haven't seen in the US since, just being honest. As big as anything has come, you know, Naruto, all of that stuff. Pokemon, when there was a movie in theaters of Pokemon, you got your ass to that theater, especially with that first one, and you saw that movie. So I would throw the argument, if we were going to put anything on there, as of what we spoke about right now, especially, Pokemon should be on the Mount Rushmore. Here's the thing, of course, there's only supposed to be 4 on there, and then if you were to put Pokemon on there, what would you take out? Again, in terms of popularity in the West, you could argue that probably One Piece, just because, again, One Piece never really had, like, it's been popular, right? But especially because of the way they botched it with 4 kids and all of that jazz, it never reached the level of heights that Bleach, Naruto, and Dragon Ball Z did. I'd probably add, honestly, because, you know, it is what it is. This is our list. We could do what we want. I would probably, instead of replacing One Piece, I'd probably just put Pokemon as, like, the 5th one, because Pokemon, you cannot deny the impact that it had in the West, in the US. You cannot deny it. So right now, what we're looking at with our Mount Rushmore, now we got 5. We're bending the rules here. We got Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, and Pokemon. Yu-Gi-Oh, again, super popular. It was one of my childhood anime, one of the ones that pushed me to keep on going into the medium. But again, I feel like the card game is what really everybody fell in love with. The anime was something that we loved too, but it was just like, I need to go get a new pack, fam. I need to go get some packs, you know what I'm saying? Katekyo Hitman Reborn never really blew over here. In fact, the only license we even got for anything over here, I think the manga actually, they put out, what, 9 or 10 volumes, and then it failed, and then they stopped bringing it over here. And then the anime, we only just recently got that over here from Discotech Media, and yeah, so Reborn, really awesome, but definitely wouldn't make the Mount Rushmore of the West. Like, it just never reached that level. I love Reborn, but, you know, it is what it is. Here's another argument that I would throw in there that maybe might be unfavorable to some, but it did have that impact, because I'll never forget, back in the big 3 days, right, especially here on YouTube, there was always Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, and Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail, there's the argument there that you could throw it on there. Like, honestly, just keeping it real, Fairy Tail had that level of impact. It was always like, well, if you couldn't get into Naruto, you couldn't get into One Piece, you couldn't get into Bleach, what's wrong with you, no? But there was always that other substitute of Fairy Tail, whether good or bad, because Fairy Tail had its ups and downs, whatever. There's the argument for it being on the Mount Rushmore as well. Would I replace anything that we've talked about on the Mount Rushmore for the different reasons? Like, probably not. If anything, Fairy Tail might be, again, another one that I would add to the Mount Rushmore, a 6th phantom member, so to speak, because Fairy Tail held it down in an era, especially being in Kodansha magazine, while all the others were in Shonen Jump, and Dragon Ball was just the godfather of it all. Fairy Tail, it still held its own, and I would throw the argument that Fairy Tail does deserve, popularity-wise, that's all we're speaking about here for the most part, folks. I'd throw the argument that Fairy Tail belongs up there as well, if we're going to add anything else, because it did hold a significant amount of popularity for a long time, alongside all of those juggernauts, and that's an impressive feat in and of itself. Attack on Titan. Here's my thing, right? Because all the series we're speaking of thus far, even to a certain degree, Pokemon, they kind of feel like battle series. Attack on Titan is almost like a Phantom Seinen series. Like, I'd put Attack on Titan more as a Seinen than ever. Like, honestly, Attack on Titan, say what you want about the ending, let's not talk about the ending, okay? Like, that's a whole different topic. Just in general, as a whole, Attack on Titan was in a different league and in a different class. I mean, it broke through many barriers, and again, we would end up making this Mount Rushmore into a whole freaking 20 people if I kept on adding all of these things. Attack on Titan is more so, if anything, I'd argue probably push it to the newer age, because when Attack on Titan came around 2013 with the anime, it exploded, and it ushered in a whole whole new vibe. Like, I'd throw the argument that series like The Promised Neverland, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, all of them got more of a chance down the road because a dark series like Attack on Titan opened up the barriers for a series to be popular, but also a little more mature, a little darker, and things like that. So probably even put Attack on Titan not only in its own class, but kind of more so in the new school because it ushered in that darker vibe. You can be popular and still be a crazy graphic series like Attack on Titan. So yeah, I don't know about this Mount Rushmore, but it deserves to be on a Mount Rushmore, just probably not this one. Like, it had its popularity, it has its popularity, it's one of the most popular here right now, but it's more of a new school one in my opinion. Maybe I'm off on that. Y'all let me know. No shade on anything here. I love all of these shits, okay? Death Note, ooh, that's a tough one. Honestly, a lot of people compare the popularity of Death Note to Attack on Titan. Death Note would probably be up there as well, but I don't know, fam. Like, again, are we replacing any of these classics, the big three, Dragon Ball, Pokemon? Death Note I'd probably put over Fairy Tail, but again, it just doesn't feel right to put Death Note on this Mount Rushmore. I'd probably put another Mount Rushmore of Attack on Titan, Death Note, and maybe, like, I don't know, one of the other new school. Maybe Attack on Titan, Death Note, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen. But again, that'd be another Mount Rushmore just because it feels like a different vibe. And yeah, it had and still has its popularity. They made, you know, Death Note and Light the big villain of the Shonen Jump Force game or whatnot. But you guys let me know, though. Should he be on the list? Again, I just feel like he belongs, but he belongs maybe on a different Mount Rushmore. Saint Seiya, it was huge back in, what was it, the 90s or 80s, whenever the heck it came over here. It was even under a different name. I want to say they just called it like Knights of the Zodiac, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't call it Saint Seiya. It never really had the same impact over here in the West. Like, you go to Mexico, Saint Seiya probably be number 1 or number 2 right there with Dragon Ball. But in terms of the West, I don't know how I'd really put it there. And I always say that because I've always heard about Mexico. Like, they have a different anime scene over there, so that's why I reference. I always heard Saint Seiya is huge in Mexico. Likewise, of course, with Dragon Ball. So I don't know about Saint Seiya as a Mount Rushmore over here. Again, it's a legendary one worldwide and in Japan and everything. It ushered in, like, it inspired a lot of the series that ultimately became what they are. So don't get it twisted. It's a pioneer. It's a godfather. It's the godfather to Dragon Ball to a certain degree because it predates it. But I don't know about putting it on the Western Mount Rushmore. Like, likewise with Fist of the North Star. Again, a lot of older people, like people older than me that are into anime, they usually reference like, oh yeah, I remember that Fist of the North Star, the because they love that it was inspired by Bruce Lee and things like that. But Fist of the North Star, again, on this Mount Rushmore, I don't know, like it probably Saint Seiya, Fist of the North Star would be on like the grandfather Mount Rushmore because they kind of go in the same vein of like, yeah, they inspired a lot of this shit that came like Dragon Ball and things like that. But I don't know about just again with this because in the West, how much popularity Fist of the North Star had in comparison. Anime wasn't even as popular back when Fist of the North Star first started breaking through as it is with any of these series. Now, these two, Rurouni Kenshin and Yu Yu Hakusho. I could throw the argument that Dragon Ball shouldn't even be on this Mount Rushmore and it should be in another Mount Rushmore. And I know I'm just creating like 50,000 Mount Rushmores, but this is everything that's going through my mind right now. I would throw the argument that Dragon Ball, Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho, and maybe one other one would be its own Mount Rushmore in and of itself. We're talking about the West and the popularity and the impact of these shonen battle series and things like that. Yu Yu Hakusho and Rurouni Kenshin, as awesome as they are, they two of my favorites, two of the best to ever do it. Do not get it twisted. Yu Yu Hakusho, my name ForneverWorld came inspired from Yu Yu Hakusho, so don't get it twisted. And you could throw the argument that maybe Yu Yu Hakusho, but ultimately I just feel like it's just, again, it didn't have the impact like the big three or Dragon Ball or even Pokemon, to be honest. And I'd put a different Mount Rushmore for them alongside Dragon Ball if I had to put a Mount Rushmore together because they deserve their praise, their legends, all of that jazz. But yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about putting them on either one of them. Maybe I'd throw the argument for Yusuke, but I'd even feel like that's a stretch. But then again, hey, I put Fairy Tail on there, so fuck it. Yusuke on there too. No? And then lastly, not including all the ones that we've already talked about, Hunter x Hunter. There's a huge argument for that one too, but I guess I'll leave this one up to you. Do you feel like Hunter x Hunter has made the same impact and splash as all of these other series here in the West? A lot of people love Hunter x Hunter. Anytime I talk about Hunter x Hunter, people flock to that video to see what's going on. I mean, either way, shout outs to Yoshihiro Togashi. I always say this. He had two legendary series run in Shonen Jump, Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter. And again, they're two that honestly, if I were to add extras to this Mount Rushmore, I'd probably throw them on there as well. So let's see. In totality, what we would have if I even extended the Mount Rushmore, we would have Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Pokemon, Fairy Tail, and that's a stretch. Maybe Yu Yu Hakusho or Hunter x Hunter or both, to be honest with you. And again, Attack on Titan deserves to be there, but it just feels like it feels wrong to put it on there. Like it feels like it deserves its own category because it's its own monster. So there's that. But I'm very curious what you guys think about this. And shout outs to all the series on here. Absolutely no shade whatsoever. Every one of them did their their thing. I love majority of them, if not all of them. I want to say I've watched and enjoyed each and every one of them. So yeah, no shade to any of them. Curious what your Mount Rushmore would be. If you want to go up to 7, 8, whatever, what is your shonen anime Mount Rushmore looking like? And yeah, did any of the series that I talked about deserve to be on there in replacement? Again, we were mainly talking about popularity and mainstream in the West for this Mount Rushmore. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy! Have an awesome day. Peace in, and yo, legendary shonen anime.
So